This is the 3.5 Early Civil Rights Movement Summary video. If you haven't already, please go and watch the other video on 3.5. In this video, I'm going to focus on Booker T. Washington, W.B. Du Bois, and Ida Wells Barnett. And I'm going to just do a superficial look at their lives and what they meant towards the civil rights movement. The other video will have a more in-depth look at their accomplishments and what they did throughout their lives. In 3.4, we discussed how African Americans had rights during Reconstruction, but after Reconstruction came to an end, they lost those rights. And so that's really what we're talking about here. After Reconstruction, they did not claim the full rights of citizenship because of literacy tests, poll taxes, and Jim Crow laws. African American leaders emerged that are determined to attain full citizenship. The three leaders that I said we're going to look at, Booker T. Washington, W.B. Du Bois, and Ida Wells Barnett, all took different strategies to achieve that goal of citizenship. Later civil rights leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. will be heavily influenced by these three civil rights leaders. I'm going to start with Booker T. Washington. The really important thing you need to know about him is that he favored a vocational education for African Americans. These are like trade skills, like carpentry or plumbing or electricity. He does not necessarily think they should be doctors or lawyers. He thinks they should get these easier jobs and learn those skills, and then eventually they'll advance in society and they'll be more accepted by white society and they'll gradually get there. He's known as a gradualist because he doesn't think it should happen immediately. When I say it, I mean civil rights. He gave a speech called the Atlanta Compromise, which is really important, and he pleaded with textile mill owners to hire African Americans. So basically he thinks that African Americans should take some of the lower jobs and then work their way up to getting higher jobs. Because of this, he's more accepted by white Americans. In fact, he even goes to eat in the White House with Theodore Roosevelt at one point. W.B. Du Bois takes a more radical approach. He argued that all African Americans should have the opportunity for an education that fit their talent. So if they're smart enough to be a doctor, then they should be able to become a doctor. If they're smart enough to be a lawyer, they should become a lawyer. He promotes the idea of a talented tenth, where you have the top 10% of African Americans that work hard and they can succeed, and then they can bring up the rest of the African Americans. He really opposes Washington's gradualist strategy. He's famous for helping start the NAACP, and he's really not that accepted by white Americans because he is a lot more radical than Booker T. Washington. Ida Wells Barnett is different because she's a woman and she's also fighting for women's rights along with African Americans' rights. She was a writer and a teacher. She wrote articles against segregation. She started an anti-lynching crusade after someone she knew was lynched. She was not successful again Congress to pass anti-lynching laws, but she was real adamant about it. And she also helped fight for women's suffrage, and that's what differentiates her from the other two. All three of these civil rights activists are very, very important to American history, and later civil rights activists like Martin Luther King Jr. will rely a lot on what these previous ones like Booker T. Washington, W.B. Du Bois, and Ida Wells Barnett did during this particular time period. So it's important to understand that civil rights didn't just happen in the 1960s, it was happening throughout American history. Please go to Edmodo to turn in the notes guide and take the video quiz. Thank you.